Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Critical Issue. I'm Rich Giacovis, and we will be discussing the biggest issues and hottest topics making headlines. So let me introduce you to our panel today. We begin with Chris Massaro, ICTV Chief Political Correspondent and President of Iona Society of Professional Journalists, Katrina Frederick, Ionian staff reporter and reporter for ICTV. Welcome, Katrina. And we have Kat Kafalis, who is a reporter for ICTV. Hi, Kat. How are you? All right, our issues today, which we'll be covering, are church versus state, elections that are heating up, plus the crisis in Libya. But first, we're going to begin with the controversial church versus state. So there are many issues currently affecting modern-day America, but are they truly political issues that need to be dealt with in Washington? For example, gay marriage and abortion. Katrina, start us off.
In recent headlines, the Obama administration has said that it's unconstitutional to prevent same-sex couples from marrying. So with that, it does cause a big upstir in the church community, and a lot of people disagree with it. And there's also a lot of issues pertaining to that area. And then also there's abortion, and now they're trying to make it harder in the Constitution to grant women the right to abort their baby.
Well, the powerful world religious groups like the Catholic Church, Church of England, among others, are opposed to these issues. If laws for or against these issues are passed, what will these groups think of this, Chris?
Well, depending on which way they go, we'll have to see. I mean, I don't think that these issues of abortion and gay marriage should be dealt at the federal level. I think that should be dealt at with the state. What's right for one state isn't right for another state. That's why we have a federal system. I think that's how it should be handled, not at the federal government level.
Any disagreements with that?
I think they're all personal issues, and they should just be dealt with the person and the state. And even religious groups shouldn't actually be involved, because they will eventually be in the same place one day, whether it's themselves or a loved one. So they should leave it alone.
Well, we go to a Catholic college, so do you think that it makes you more sensitive? Is anyone here more sensitive to the issues because you're going to Catholic college? You said you're not religious, so before we started, so forget that. But any of you, I don't know how religious you are, but sensitive to these issues because we attend Iona?
It's a sensitive topic in general, but a lot of students who are religious, I'm religious, I'm Christian, and it's interesting to see how much it's affecting our country. That has to just be in headlines, same-sex marriage, constitutional, unconstitutional. Should that be the primary thing that's making our headlines today is my concern, as well as abortion.
Iona College has no influence on my political or religious views at all.
Okay, you're just here to learn.
Yeah.
Right. All right, on to the 2012 elections. We have already discussed that the 2012 elections would mean for President Obama and his future on past shows, but the political battleground is stirring up. Chris, let's start with you. If a new Republican candidate takes power, what will this mean for not only the U.S., but the rest of the world right now?
Well, I think starting internationally, I think there's going to be a tougher stance on terrorism, tougher stance on our overseas war in Afghanistan. I don't think there'll be an immediate drawback. I think other nations, rogue nations like North Korea and Iran, will be more hesitant to, be provocative with their nuclear programs if a conservative does indeed win the presidency. And I think domestically, I think you're going to see less government. You're going to see probably lower taxes, less government interference, probably a repeal of Obamacare, or at least trying to halt the process. So there's going to be dramatic changes if there's a Republican in Congress.
So what does President Obama need to do now to get his potential reelection? Well, is he doing okay right now, or?
If you asked me this question several months ago, I would have said definitely he is not getting reelected. Now I'm starting to say things have changed after the lame duck session. They had a lot of success. The economy is starting to turn around somewhat, but it's still 8.9% unemployment, which is high. The deficit and debt is astronomical. If they don't start reducing that, I think that'll be his downfall. But we really have to see in a year from now where we are, and then go.
So the approval ratings are up
slightly, but it's too early to say.
Okay, so Kat, President Obama staying in power, what would that mean for the U.S. and the world?
Well,
simple.
Honestly, I don't think there would be any change with Obama still in power. If he's just still slow progress with our deficit, slow progress with the war, because now there's more soldiers going back to Iran and Iraq, more soldiers trying to fix what was already damaged. So there won't be any new, in my opinion, I don't see anything good happening out of it. So maybe having a Republican might help and fix a lot of things.
Well, we're going to talk specifically about a few of the candidates that are rumored potentially to be running against President Obama, and you can give me your thoughts on them. Sarah Palin. Whoever wants to weigh in, go right ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
I guess I'll take this one. I was a Sarah Palin supporter, but at this part in her career, I think she needs to just stick to the media, do her commentary, stump for candidates because she was very successful stumping for candidates in the midterm elections, but don't run for public office. She has her book thing. She had the reality show. She's in the media now, and stay there. Let let politics go to the ones who have been in the game for a while
and who actually know the game.
She did win, election in Alaska, so she's not totally, out of the picture, but she's made some mistakes that people, are hesitant to elect her for. So,
you don't agree with that? You just don't think that she's qualified at all to be president?
I don't think she's qualified at all, but I do think that she is someone to watch because she's gained so much attention from the media, and even if she's known as being, just a ditz or not really being intelligible through her interviews with Katie Couric and other anchors, it's interesting because she just has this command for attention. So whatever she's doing and with picking up followers, it's working to her advantage. However, running for president is a completely different issue. I do agree that she should stay in, the media spotlight, but as far as politics,
why do you think she's not qualified?
I don't think she's educated enough. I don't think she understands our Constitution. I don't think that she has any background that's stable enough. I mean, she's only been in office for 2 years. That's not
Did Obama,
enough.
when he ran for president?
I think he was much more intelligent when he ran for president, so.
Well, wasn't Obama already in the Senate?
He was in the Senate for 2 years. He spent most of it running for election, and then he was only in the state Senate of Illinois, whereas Palin was the governor of the biggest natural resource state in the Union. Just saying.
Final word for Chris. Newt Gingrich, another potential candidate.
I think Newt is the only guy who can take Obama in a debate. He's very intelligent. He's a little controversial, a little provocative, but he was Speaker of the House during a very prosperous year in the United States during the Clinton years. They balanced the budget. They got welfare reform. So I think he's one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, he's someone to watch, definitely.
Mitt Romney, Mike Huckabee.
I think Huckabee is leading all the general polls as of now.
Really?
I think so. He's very popular, very affable, has a great personality. Some of his social issues
He just criticized one of the. Did anybody hear about this? He kind of made
his
a
book,
criticism
right?
about. I don't know if it was his book. He just made some kind of statement about abortion, and this goes on another issue of Natalie Portman at the Oscars, and she was pregnant. It's something with single mothers, trying to glamorize single mothers.
So, like I said, his social issues may, prevent people from voting for him. But he's a very intelligent guy. I think he could stand up well to Obama in a debate. Mitt Romney, great businessman. The only thing that will bring him down is his health care plan in Massachusetts. That's basically a microcosm
and
of
his religious views.
That too. I think he addressed that though. In
but another thing with Mike Huckabee, he doesn't believe in evolution.
Right. Palin has that issue.
A lot of people, take a step back with that. They're like,
Right,
how do
but-
you not believe in evolution?
But let's get this straight. What does evolution have to do with the war in Iraq, war in Afghanistan? Let's keep it to the issues that are at hand.
Wish we could tell everybody that, but
We're trying here.
I know. And one of my favorite candidates, who's a potential candidate, he's going to make his announcement in June, Donald Trump. He's a Republican. He will be running on a Republican ticket.
As a conservative, I think it's more of a joke than actually
Really?
a candidate.
All right, you have to listen to his views. You have to listen to.
Does he stand for
he's very
conservative
intelligent.
principles?
He knows a lot about it.
I think he'll end up firing everyone the second.
No.
Well, that might be good in this administration because some people do need firing.
True.
So could this possibly be a three-party election between the Republicans?
Third party as far as what, the Tea Party?
Republicans, Democrats, and the Tea Party.
No, Tea Party is with the Republican Party. There's no fractions in the party.
Okay. All right. So we move on to the economy. So what will a Republican mean for the U.S. budget and economy?
Hopefully, keep the taxes at the same rate, lower the deficit, lower the debt, get the economy going again, more jobs for people, no government spending, because you don't want to do deficit spending. That's what we've been doing for several years now. So,
You agree?
Yeah, I agree. Keep it under control.
Okay. So while we're on the topic of the economy and with all the current issues, do you think that it's possible that the United States, that we could see an economic collapse similar to what has happened in Greece and Ireland?
well, our debt, we have massive debt, but comparatively to what they went through, I don't see that happening. We have a much bigger economy than they did, but it's something to keep an eye on because they did collapse. They did need a bailout from the EU or from Germany and the IMF. So I think it's something to keep an eye on.
Okay. And all this budget cutting, you think this is going to affect a college education, Katrina, and how college students and their parents pay for it? Because, Columbia University just took down, for military, for kids that are in the military, they took down the tuition or scholarship money, giving them less scholarship money. I mean, there's a lot of cutting going on.
Yeah, a lot of budget cuts will affect, how parents, every parent's dream is to send their children to college, but it's just becoming, the prices are just becoming so outrageous. And if there's less scholarships and grant money to go around, a person who's just really intelligent may not have the opportunity that they need to get ahead in the world by going to college.
We just got to tighten our belts right now. It's a tough time, so we can't be spending out of our means.
I know, and that's tough to do. All right, moving on now, keeping our theme today of the U.S. and how our nation affects the world nationally, we should touch on Libya and the Middle East. So can UN involvement in Libya help the nation or hurt it, Chris?
Depends on what happens. The UN is also very reluctant to get into these kinds of affairs because, God forbid, if peacekeepers get captured or killed, it's a major breach of international law, and then people, go crazy over that. They did ask for UN support. I think airstrikes, and they're hesitant on that, and I don't think they will. I think they should do a no-fly zone. I know many members of Congress are in favor of that, but it's a very tricky situation. I don't think the UN will get involved though.
Do you think that the U.S. should be involved? More so than they are now?
If Gaddafi continues to kill civilians, I think we're going to have to get involved somehow.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Kat, a big question in a lot of people's mind is, do the people of Libya really want U.S. or national involvement?
I think they do need some involvement, but not to the point where the United States does have to get involved. Because sometimes with our presidents, like we saw when President Bush wanted to help out in Iran, and it caused such a conflict. If we go into other countries and try to help, and then it'll cause more problems, we can probably end up into another world war, and that's not something we want. It's not something we could afford, especially since we are in our deficit, and we do have so many problems going on.
Well, Chris actually touched on the no-fly zone. You agree with that?
Yeah.
There should be a no-fly zone? Yeah. Everybody agree on that?
I mean, he's using his Air Force to kill his own people, so if you implement a no-fly zone, that'll basically stop that, unless they just don't, recognize it.
Okay. Well, that's all the topics I have here. If any of you have anything that's getting under your skin that you want to just let out, let us know.
The U.S. Supreme Court case.
Oh, that's a big one.
That's a huge one. And I know it's a free speech case, and we're all here, advocates of free speech, but I think it was completely wrong that they would allow protesters to protest military funerals.
In case people don't know what we're talking about, why don't you explain what it was quickly?
The Supreme Court basically upheld protesters' right to protest funerals, many of which are military funerals. Mm-hmm. The Westboro Baptist Church.
Right. And what these protesters do is they protest in front of the church of funeral of a soldier and bash homosexuals like that,
or anybody military.
And the soldiers that died were not even gay, but they're still protesting that.
And it was 8-1 the ruling. So,
but this is where the idea of freedom of speech comes in,
right?
And
but to what extent? You can't yell, fire in a
these are just
theater.
horrible, terrible people. But this is unfortunately the free speech right works both ways, in your favor or maybe not in your favor, and that's just what we have to deal with. Not agreeing with the Supreme Court, but that's that. All right, so that's all the time we have. We thank our panel. Great show today, and we will see you next time on Critical Issue. Bye bye, everybody. Why are we laughing so hard?